We got Luke Burrows coming on here in just a bit. Dude is going to blow your mind open all the way across in Europe, just tearing it up over there. I love that we have this global platform that we're able to serve people on. So definitely stick around because he's going to be showing you and empowering you how to unlock your potential and create your best life ever. So stick around. Before we dive into that, I just want to encourage you to keep showing up, keep taking one step at a time, and remember, you are meant for more. Specifically, if you are a woman out to be empowered and connect with other empowered women, definitely want to make it to Meant for More Live coming up this April 24th, 25th, 26th in Las Vegas, 3-day event. Definitely check it out at meantformore.live and go visit that website, or just ask me if you want more details. Go connect with Petia. She's the host of it, and she is rocking it out. Petia Koliboba. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And next up is the iTunes review of the week. This week, it's by Jay Inspiration, who says, greatest possible podcast. Chris is committed to being his best, and his guests bring their best, and his audience is being inspired to take action to transform their lives as well. Jay Inspiration, thank you so much for that review. And if you want a chance to get shouted out on a future 12-hour live stream, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store, and you can give us a review there. Let us know what you love, what you want to see more of, and how we can improve the show for you. I love hearing that feedback and growing together with you, so thank you so much in advance for being here. I'm going to introduce Luke in just a sec. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This guy is going to bring the fire and the heat, and you definitely want to stay around all the way through to the end because one idea, literally one idea, has the power to change everything for you. So let's introduce Luke, and then we will bring him on the screen. Luke Burrows is the founder of Grow2Gether. He's a podcast host, and he's an entrepreneur, and his mission is to help people to live their passion and change the way they think to unlock their potential. He is an optimist, and he's passionate about self-discovery, personal growth, and entrepreneurship. And that's just the tip of the iceberg with this guy. Luke, are you ready to rock the house, my man?
I am, man. Thank you so much for the intro.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna bring the heat for our audience today. We're live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, and we're gonna take it up another 10 notches, my man. Let's dive right into the theme of today. You are meant for more. What does that mean for you, Luke?
It means to commit to the lifelong journey of growing and being your best self, developing oneself.
I love it. I love it, man. Man of few words, but powerful impact. Love it. Love it, Luke. So let's keep going, man. Tell our audience a little bit more about you, your show, how you're serving your clients and your audience today, brother.
Yeah, so as you quite rightly said, a founder of Grow2Gether. So that's a personal growth community that I am dedicated to building. That pretty much helps people to do what they love and work towards accomplishing the ultimate goal, which is a better version of themselves. And so we do that in a number of ways, through our community blog, through our podcast, through our membership platform, and other inner circle programs, mentoring programs that we have. I also have another podcast that I'm actually rebranding right now. So it's kind of a project that is just kind of like on the it's just coming up. So yeah, also podcast host, obviously like yourself, and from here in the UK. So it's always good to connect with like-minded people from across the world. So yeah, man, that's pretty much me. And yeah, like you said, pretty much an optimist. So it's something I've kind of discovered about myself recently, and putting out those good vibes and helping people to grow. So yeah, that's pretty much me, man.
I love it. I love it, man. We're going to dive into like where that really began for you, because I think that's valuable, especially because you're pretty young in the grand scope of things, and not that age has anything to do with like what we're able to create. But I think it's really it's exciting to know that you have a lot of time ahead of you to create and manifest and build your dreams. And there's also a sense of urgency. Like we never know, like today could be our last day, And I think interviewing people, I'm sure you found like you get so connected with their stories of like hitting that rock bottom and then saying, man, like they really had it bad, but then look at where they're at now, or just people who've gone through some real tragedies, man. So let's go back into your journey and talk about what you learned. Like what wisdom did you gain over being an entrepreneur, interviewing so many people? What did you learn, Luke?
Yeah, well, so many things. So my story really started when I was at college, and I wasn't really learning a whole lot. I felt, I was actually studying computers, and
Yeah.
basically the tutor kind of got us around the table and started talking about RAM. If anyone doesn't know what RAM is, it's like random. Yeah, it's like something that the computer has basically. And I was like questioning myself, like, what am I doing here? So
Yeah.
from that moment, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, run my own business. But at the time, I was 18. Like what does an 18-year-old necessarily know about business? Had no idea about the online world. So spent a few years kind of uh, diving into that and kind of learning as much as I could about the online world. And then that's when I got into like podcasting and everything. And I suppose from my guests, what I've kind of I would say one of the main things I've learned from my guests is just like how important your mindset is.
Yeah.
Like you know this from if you like reading books. Like I've read, like the Tony Robbins books and everything, but especially in like the last 6 months, just I've really understood that more, like how important your mindset is. Like everything is like your mindset. So I think that's like the biggest thing that I can stress to our listeners and our watchers is
Mm.
to invest in yourself, right? Invest in your mindset, invest in growing and improving every day. And then don't beat yourself up if one day don't necessarily hit what you want to. Learn the lessons and go again. So I think it might be a bit cliche, Chris, to say like your mindset, but for me, that is one of the major things I have learned from my guests. And then also like your past doesn't define your future. Like you say,
Yep.
you hear so many stories from your guests and guests that you bring on, and just like the transformation that they've kind of gone through.
Yeah.
With all the episodes that I've done, obviously there's things tailored to each episode. Like one episode we could talk about business, kind of learn like a business strategy or whatever it is. But I would say like the mindset, and then your past doesn't define your future, and like you're in control.
Yeah.
Like you can take your life in any direction that you want to.
Yeah.
So those would probably be like the main things, summarizing them, that I've learned from interviewing people and making connections.
Dude, I love it, man. And I picked out a word that you said there, or a common kind of disclaimer is like, it might sound cliche, but here's the truth: is that mindset, and like living every day as if it's your last, or live your best life ever, right? Be your best self, whatever that is for people. I love that there's so much information today, and there's so much like ability to access that information, and it's so important that we treat every single day as if, hey, maybe I haven't really learned this. I might think that I know it, I might say that I know it, but do I actually live it? Do I embody it? And that's something that's been a really big theme for me, man, because I used to be an engineer, electrical engineer, computer engineer, like studying those computers too. I prided myself on information accumulation. And that was not fulfilling for my soul. It was just more and more and more. And I was trying to prove that I was enough, that I was smart enough, and to hide my insecurities. But when I finally got to this place of saying, well, maybe I don't really know it. Maybe I can learn some more. And I feel like you really have a humble attitude, an open attitude. Like, I think we can all learn from each other. And I think you resonate with that. You align with that as well. And you know that your audience wants to learn from people who've made mistakes, who have success, and they're here to share that. And I love it, man. I love your journey, and I love what you're out to do in the world. And I'm curious. For me, I had a really difficult time with friends at my age range when I was growing myself. What have you done as far as your relationships and network? Because your philosophy is to grow together. Who do you grow together with, and how has that impacted your relationships as you've gone through school and high school, college, etc.?
Yeah, man, it's a great question. So you might be, well, your audience, and you might be familiar with the phrase like audit your circle, right, type of thing. So I've definitely had to do that, although like the doors were kind of always open for the people that maybe I don't spend time with, that I've grew up with, if they want to now embark on like a self-discovery and personal growth kind of journey. um so yeah, but I've definitely had to go through that, just from like the point of like when I started my first business. Like I always thought if it was the other way around, I would be supportive. Like that's just,
Yeah.
I'm very much like growth mindset guy, but that's just, I feel like that's in my my DNA type of thing.
Yeah.
Like I would just support like other people on their journeys. And so they were people I grew up with, friends, and that were very like negative and everything. So that was quite difficult for me. As probably is most people who,
Sure.
they have to face that. So yeah, one way that I've kind of altered my circle and then connected with more like-minded people who are on this journey is through the power of social.
Yep.
I think social at times can get a very like negative, I suppose, press ultimately. I'm kind of sharing the message to use it as a tool.
Yeah.
One, how so then you can do what you love, right, and build a business or a side hustle or something around your passion. And then two, to connect with like-minded people and people who can help raise you higher, like yourself, like so many other people that I've connected with. And that's ultimately how I've connected with more like-minded people, like I say, within personal growth, who are on their personal growth journey, fellow podcasters, fellow entrepreneurs, and all around the world. So from people in locally, from like an hour away, who before like would I have connected with them, but it's like, so you live an hour away. It's like, oh yeah, like I live an hour away. Like, it's like, oh, let's meet up. So
Yeah.
it's not just like this. Like sometimes I talk about using social as a tool to connect with people from other countries, but actually I've used it also in a way to connect with people like an hour away from me or whatever it is.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much in terms of my circle and everything. Definitely used it as a tool to connect with more like-minded people who can help me grow, bring value to me, I bring value to them, and yeah, ultimately grow together, man.
I love it. I love it. With the grow together mindset, for me, I know just as years go on, the meaning behind a word like greatest possible self, for example, that has evolved over the years to what it means to me. I'm curious for you, what has changed about how you live and experience grow together from when you first started the movement to today? Like what has changed about your philosophy about it? What was it like in the beginning? What is it like today? Tell us a little bit more about that, man.
Yeah, it's a great question, because in the beginning, it really was set up for other young people like myself,
Yeah.
because I was questioning my purpose and everything. And so I was like, surely I'm not the only 22-year-old, like 21-year-old kind of like going for this.
Yeah.
Where now I feel like it's more, it's more open to kind of everyone who wants to embark on this journey together. So that's how, for me, the biggest transformation is back then it was very much about, like young people, next generation, people my age, but now actually, now it's about, people who are committed to this lifelong journey of accomplishing that ultimate goal, a better version of themselves, and you can be, 52 or 18, like you're committed to this journey. And that for me is, I think, the biggest kind of change with the movement.
Yeah. Powerful, man. What is one of the biggest components of living your best life? What do you see as like essential that your clients, your community, a lot of the people who are around you, they're really working on to live their best life? What do you think is one of those big components that our audience can really take action on, man?
Um, I would say approaching life with like a growth mindset approach,
Yeah.
of, like this is who you are, but these skill sets or like whatever it is, like you can improve at them and get better at them through, effort, hard work, commitment, etc., etc. So, if somebody wants to quit their 9 to 5 maybe and go and build something, around what they love to do, like they can do that, and commit to that lifelong journey, right? Approaching it with the growth mindset. So ultimately, in whatever area of life that people want to apply it to, or areas, whether it's your fitness or career, whatever it is, approaching it with that mindset of, this is where I am, but I can get better. I can improve, like those daily steps to ultimately improve. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Beautiful. How do you actually grow the skills? How do you know what skills you need to grow to live your purpose, to live your best life ever? And how do you actively improve those?
Yeah, so I think in a way, it kind of comes back to doing what you love as well, because I think when you like identify, okay, so I love to do this, or like this is my passion, etc. This is like the path I'm going to go down, and then from there, okay, asking the question to yourself of what skill sets now do I need to get better at, or improve on, or develop. Now I've chosen, I don't know, to become a blogger about writing about sport or something. Okay, so I need to improve like actual writing, or if it's a podcast, right, as podcast host, like what do I need to get better at and skill set? So connecting with people, presenting, speaking. So I think really it's like identifying, okay, so this is the thing that I'm doing, this is the thing that I'm passionate about, and then what around that are the skill sets that I can commit to developing and improving on. So that would pretty much be my advice for people is, okay, so what is the thing that you're passionate about and love to do, and are pursuing, and then think about, okay, so what are the skill sets around this? And then, like you say, like there's so much information out there around pretty much, like anything and everything, right? So then go into Google, go into YouTube, go onto Apple Podcasts, or wherever it is, however you learn, because some of us learn more through video, audio, written, by some books, like whatever way you learn, and then just dive into it. So that's hopefully I answered your question, man, but that's kind of how I would definitely encourage people.
I love it. Just really finding out what do you love to do. And a lot of people may not necessarily be clear on that stuff. And that takes experimentation, takes playing around, messing around, being willing to fail, being willing to look silly, and also committing to something long enough to give it a serious try. Because I think there's a lot of people who've tried something, but it's like, oh, I didn't experience instant manifestation, instant gratification, instant results. Okay, well, that doesn't mean that it's not your thing. It just means that you suck, like everyone sucks in the beginning, So what do you want to actually practice at? What feels like it might be fun? What do you think you might be excited to be doing a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Just get started on that and work to that, and then it's like I think it's Steve Jobs who says you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards, right? So connecting all the different skills, all the different positions, all the different companies, all the different opportunities, whatever comes up, like you can't predict that stuff, but looking back, then you can connect those dots. So I love it, man. Luke, I want to talk about your style. I feel like you got a great style. You got these awesome glasses on. You got a great hat, red hoodie. Love it, man. What is the brand that you want to embody for your audience and for your tribe?
Yeah, so I think I'm very much, as you can see, like I've kind of developed this brand where I kind of always wear my hat now. So, but no, I think for me, I'm just like very much authentic myself. So this is kind of me. But in terms of the brand, I think that's it. Like I'm showing up. I'm authentically me, right? Hoodie, or like whatever it is. And so for other people to do that as well, I think sometimes we can morph into these certain kind of, what's the word, personalities or whatever it is, for like social media or for like whatever it is, like I've got to take the perfect Instagram photo. So if I'm a girl or a woman, I gotta wear a bikini or like whatever it is, and that might not be necessarily their style. So I think all that, like that authenticity for me is really is something that is important, and something that I try and share with other people as well, because then I think you find your tribe ultimately, and I think that's that's important. Then you find your tribe and can connect with people, and it's the same through we were talking earlier about podcasting and stories and journeys and kind of everything. That's something also for me in terms of like my style and everything, is sharing my story, right? Because I think that through that, again, like we can connect, right? And I think that's how then we build community, and that's something, again, comes back to grow together, right? Like by sharing our stories, then we can connect together and kind of learn from each other, and ultimately again grow together and everything. So it kind of all links up, you see. So, and that's what the Grow Together podcast is about. So bringing our community members onto the podcast, giving a platform for them to share their story, to share their journey, share their experiences, So then other listeners can go, oh, I can relate to them, I can connect with them. So that's pretty much kind of, I suppose, like my style. If that answers your question, man.
Yeah.
It's like that authenticity, and sharing one's story.
Yeah, I love it. I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking to someone about how Instagram models, like they have been blessed with beauty. They've been blessed with, hey, just go work out and like have a fit body. And then, like there's this urge to just post selfie pics of your butt or your boobs, or especially for women, right? And like that can be addicting to go do that. And is that really your authentic self? Is that like, because it's going to get so many likes and so much engagement, it's going to feed that need for validation, right? And so, but it can get on this hamster wheel, this endless cycle of needing that validation. And I think when you have that personal brand, so to speak, when you're just being authentic, it may not necessarily grow as fast or as rapidly, but it can, it totally can, but may not. And like, we get to be okay with that because we're just being ourselves. We're being our true authentic selves. And I think if we go to bed at night, knowing that we're being our authentic selves and doing our best and like really committed to serving people and making this planet better than when we found it, like that's the prize, man. That's the reason why we're here, to be that best version of ourselves, dude.
For sure. And kind of on that, I was listening, I think it was to Gary V actually, and he was kind of talking about like the same type of thing. And then I think he was saying like, then, these people kind of do these things, then they're kind of like, I think he used the phrase like in the system, right? Yeah. So I think what he meant by that was like, then if they want to post something different, something more authentic, they kind of can, because like you were saying about the validation, and then they may only get like 200 likes instead of 2,000 likes, and then kind of, all these like, limiting beliefs and whatever it is start to kick in, the validation and everything. So I think, authenticity is so important. And like you say, your brand or social may not, blow up or kind of go viral, like whatever it is, a picture or a post that you may want to get the message out there, but you're being your authentic self and finding your tribe. And I think ultimately, that's important. And I think then when you play more then the long-term game, like the brand then will develop, right? It will grow. So especially if you're committed in developing oneself. So completely agree with that, man.
Yeah, man. Luke, tell us about a time where you had you faced like a breakdown, a setback, a difficulty, a failure, and what did you do to get past it, man? How did you get through that?
Yeah. So when I was working my 9 to 5, I faced pretty much difficult time with anxiety, depression, and pretty much that, because I was questioning like, what is my purpose, and I was kind of playing around with like these different kind of things, trying to find my purpose, trying to find my passion and everything. And that was quite difficult. At the same time, I then had the things going on with my social circle and everything. So it kind of all happened at once, and yeah, like I say, that was quite difficult for me. I always believed and had faith and hope, or whatever you want to call it, that there was a way out or something, like I always believe like I'm not going to be in this mental state or where I am right now forever. So I always had kind of like that belief and kind of faith within me. And then it was just about step by step taking one step at a time to get out of that situation. Starting with working on myself, right? So starting to read in books and listen to podcasts and go, oh, okay, so this way of thinking is, keeping me stuck. And then I read a book, I think it was Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And then I was learning all these things about like life values. And I was like, what the hell are life values? And I was kind of linking it all up. And I was like, oh, and for that time I had so many eureka moments in that. So how I got out of it is through, I would say hard work, to improve myself and to, when I was maybe having a difficult day or, time, because like the depression and anxiety would kind of go up and down, some things would trigger it more, was just to like remember what I was learning ultimately, because I think like when we're in those kind of moments we can kind of forget, and and then I was suffering with panic attacks, and just like, okay, like keeping calm, and that like meditation helps so much. Like that was a game changer for me. And then actually, it's going to sound kind of simple, well, maybe simple to people, but in a way, doing like the simple stuff. And what I mean by that is by eating right, exercise,
Yep.
sleep, and getting a good night's sleep, and the lifelong journey of testing different things to find what it is that I kind of wanted to dedicate my life to, like that bigger purpose mission, if that makes sense. So I think sometimes we kind of neglect like those like simple things, like good night's sleep, food, exercise, and for me, ultimately, like when people ask that question of how did you get out of anxiety or depression, I was like, that was pretty much it, like learning every day about improving my mindset, eating right, because like we all know that, right? We all know that drinking Coke or eating loads of chocolate bars isn't good for us. So stop all of that. Good night's sleep, exercise, and like I said, committing to the lifelong journey of testing different things to find what I'm passionate about.
Yeah,
that was pretty much it.
It's gold, man. I love it. I hear, especially for, I think a lot of young men who are in technology or video games, things like that. I struggled so much with social anxiety, with like being so concerned about what people think. For me, I wasn't able to talk to women. Like it was really challenging, man. When I would get in front of a room to try to do a speech or something, I would just turn like beet red, get super hot, and like it was like terrifying for me, right? But after practicing it, doing tons of personal development, like you said, just putting myself in those uncomfortable situations, it just slowly started to lose its power over me. So I love hearing that, man. And I want to talk about growing together, because that's such a big part of you and your philosophy. How do we train the people around us to help us grow faster? How do we empower them to help us? What would you recommend around that?
Oh man, such a great question. I think in a way, especially when we, like, for me, like I'm coming from this place of really passionate about self-discovery, personal growth, personal development, and everything. I think for like, I hate to call people like average, but for like the average person, they're like, what is this? Like they think, I swear they think we're on some kind of like steroid or something,
Right.
or whatever it is. Like, what is this mindset stuff?
Yep.
So I think in a way, kind of what I've seen actually is by working out what they're passionate about, what they enjoy, and in a way approaching it, I suppose, from that point of view, rather than you being also passionate about mindset and personal growth and entrepreneurship and trying to like push that on somebody else. I think in a way it's about, okay, so what do you enjoy, and then working with them to kind of grow in that field, and still using maybe some of like the questioning techniques, or like the empowering questions, or like whatever it is that kind of within the books and everything, to get them to start to think in a different way. But I think that's kind of how I've started to approach it with maybe other friends and family who aren't really into like this personal growth and entrepreneurship and self-discovery as much as I am, and like I've obviously dedicated my life to it now. And then just like getting the information out there. But I do think sometimes when people push it on, people will push it on like their family members, and that then creates that resistance. And so I think approaching it with, okay, so what do you enjoy? Like, what are you passionate about? And coming it from that point of view. I'm working with somebody right now, because I do community stuff as well, community projects, working with him around his passion. And so we're slowly then kind of integrating that personal development into that, because now he's doing what he loves to do within the community. And so very much that approach with it. So I think slowly, I think that's probably the way that I would recommend to people. I don't know if you would go along with that, man.
Yeah, so I like what I'm hearing as far as how to inspire other people to be the best version of themselves, right? Like I'm totally on board with that. Is find out what they want, hear what they're passionate about, like give them the space and then shut up, like ask them a question and then shut up, let them talk, let them create, like just be the guide, be the person who like throws the pitch up so that they can hit that home run or whatever, kick the field goal or whatever it might be, right? So I think that is important. What I want to go deeper on though, Luke, is how do we train them to help us get to where we want to go? Because come on, we're coming to the table with saying, okay, we want to serve people, we want to make a big freaking impact in their lives, we want them to live their best life ever. Like we're both on the same page of that. And I know a lot of our audience is also wanting to know, how do I thrive? And how do I build a relationship and set expectations and communicate with others so that they are excited to contribute to my growth, so that they're excited to grow together with me and see me thrive, see me win, see me achieve and hit my goals? And so I was just curious if you have anything that comes to mind about what can we do so that our friends, our inner circle, colleagues, people on social media, that they are excited to come contribute to us and support us and help us achieve our goals.
Yeah, so I think that involving them kind of in the process in a way, so I'll give an example. So like through podcasting, through our community, it kind of, we engage them in a way that actually come on the podcast, because some of our members, right, aspiring entrepreneurs, never been on a podcast before, right? So I had this one person who was like, completely shitting me ultimately, like why do you want me on your podcast? It's like, well, you have a message, you have something that like to share that can help somebody else, so I think then providing value in that way, and then they got really excited. It was like, okay, like I'll come on and contribute to what you're doing, Luke, and contribute to the community and everything. So I think kind of, if I'm hearing that right, it's involving them in what you're doing, but also as well being mindful of like what I still think, like being mindful of what they're passionate about, but involving them in what you're doing and working with them. You mentioned that, like communication. I think that's so important in all relationships. I think so often in my past relationships I have with people, like no communication, right? Like we think we're like mind readers or something, So I think communicating kind of your needs or kind of wants as well, and then understanding that the other person has needs and wants as well, and just being on that level of communicating with people and understanding where they're coming from, like having that empathy and compassion in that, and then just involving them like in the journey ultimately, and showing that you care. I think going back to Gary Vee, I think he done a post. It was like, best marketing strategy ever, show that you care or something. So I still think in kind of this instance, like show that you care, because like if you don't show that you care, like why would they even bother to kind of see what you're doing? So like care about them and involve them in what you're doing. So yeah, man, I that's kind of what my approach is, and what my approach would be recommend to other people. So hopefully I've answered you like the question.
I love it. And so like the formula that I'm hearing is, first get clear on who they are, what they want, what they're passionate about, then share how what you are up to, what you're creating with your vision can help them achieve those goals, right? Like here's where I'm going. I'm super stoked about it, Luke. Like, and by the way, here's how you're going to be able to grow your platform, your audience, be able to serve more people. Like, let's go together, right? Like, let's grow and go together. So I think that just communicating where is your vision and being clear on that, and then how can they play a role in your vision, making an ask, saying, hey, Luke, can you recommend 2 additional podcast guests to my show because you're so awesome and you're wanting to contribute and connect people and make even more of the world an empowered place, right? So I'm showing you how you can fulfill your mission, add value to your community, and help me get to where I want to go by, like, number one, being clear on where I want to go, and also making that ask. And I think a lot of people just struggle to make the ask, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that even within that, like within the community that we're building, it's then also about like them joining the community, them being part of the community and contributing to that. but then also finding like their tribe almost within the community itself.
Yeah.
So they're like, that section maybe grows, but we're all one big community, if this makes sense. And then like they find their own little tribe within that. So they're still contributing to, if you like, my vision, or to grow together.
Yeah.
But they're also working on their own goals and that. So it's like one big collective, like in like the long term.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have like the individual parts as well.
Yeah, man. What do you feel is something that you want to dive into even more on your podcast? Like, what are topics or aspects of entrepreneurship, living your best life, that you really want to dive into even more and bring even more to your show?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really diving into more and understanding more like what actually separates the quote unquote great people like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, like these like world like leaders,
Yeah.
from somebody who is just getting started, or from me, or from you, or from like people I bring onto my show right now, like because at the end of the day we're all human beings, so what actually is it that separates them from us? Like what have they done, or like is there something that specific that they've done, and so this is what I'm always curious about, because one could be committed to the journey, one could do the work and kind of all these different things, but maybe still not reach those heights. And so I'm like, okay, so then what else is it, but then so I'm kind of fascinated by this sort of stuff. And kind of really want to dive into that more.
It's like the science of achievement, like what really makes the difference, what really moves the needle, moves the levers. So in addition to passion and loving what you're doing, what else is your hypothesis about what that might be, that separation, that X factor? What do you think are the things that really move the needle?
I think it's I think environment plays a big one. Like who you surround yourself with.
Yep.
I think it's not. I think it's kind of like that, not necessarily ego, but kind of like that. Maybe aura is the right word of not. I don't want to say like not giving a shit, but like because so often so many people are scared, or like the fear of judgment of others, and I feel like that holds so many people back. Like when you don't have that, I'm just kind of thinking to myself like how free you must be, to like go out there and to create your life and everything. I think like that must play a part, because I see it holds so many people back, even myself, like I'm not perfect, and sometimes I still kind of feel that, Sure. And so I think that must be so that has to be a contributing factor to it. I don't know what else do you think is a contributing factor to that?
Yeah, man, I think the thing comes to mind is time, right? Like time is like that big X factor that Tony Robbins, Gary, they have like 30 years on us or whatever, in 20, 30 years of experience on us. So I think that's a big thing. I also think environment and people is good. I think really powerful mentorship, right? Like being in someone's physical proximity is so important to grow as fast as possible, because you just witness them like working their magic, closing $1 million deal that, to entrepreneurs who are just getting started, they're like, what the, like how the heck did you do that? How did you close that $1 million deal? Like you made it look so easy. You made it look so smooth. Like the person just said, heck yes. They were like butter in your hands. How did you do that? And so I think that being able to witness that and like being just do whatever it takes, move mountains, move to the other side of the world, like whatever it takes to be around someone who you aspire to be like. I think that's something that's missing from a lot of people, is the willingness to do whatever it takes to get around that person who inspires the heck out of them to be the best version of themselves. And even for me, man, it's been difficult because I talk to a lot of really awesome, empowered, inspiring people who've built, millions and millions of followers on social media, earned hundreds of millions of dollars. And like, who do I really want to be like? For me, it's been a challenge to like say, okay, I really want to be like Tony Robbins, or I really want to be like Gary Vee. Like that doesn't resonate with me. Like I want to be like them. And so I think there's just been this growth edge of saying, who who do I really want to be like? And also trusting that I'm attracting that person at the perfect time. Like I'm bringing that person into my life at the perfect time. So I think that having that person who just blows the doors open on who you could be, that is the game changer, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I also think like there's maybe the debate to have that actually it's about finding your level of not I don't know if level's the right word, but like your kind of fulfillment and happiness in
Yes.
the world. So like
Yes.
if that's making, I don't know, 50,000 a year and you're like super happy, and you're fulfilled as hell and you're doing what you love and you have, health's in check,
Yep.
like a lovely like family and everything, then that, like for you, like then kind of you've made it type of thing because that's
Yeah.
like your success,
Right.
but like, if you kind of asked the question on the podcast, I'm still fascinated by like the minds, I suppose,
Mm.
of people like Tony Robbins, Gary Vee,
Yep.
these kind of huge like idols and mentors,
Yeah.
and really understanding their maybe like philosophy of life type of thing, or like you say, like the science behind it, like if there's science behind it. um so yeah, like I think that's something also alongside sharing with people to do what you love and live your passion at. It's, is it about for you making, $10 million, or is it like
Mm.
what is it that you kind of want to accomplish with your life,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think there's also like the debate for that as well.
Mm. What advice does your 10-year from now self give to you? Maybe what, 30, 33? Is that how you be?
Yeah,
30?
33, 34.
Cool.
Yeah.
34.
um um, I think it would I think it would be I think it want to, so something about overthinking, because I get a lot of like ideas and stuff, and like really like I suppose like overthink them at times. Like, oh, let's do this with Grow2Gether, or let's implement it. Let's do this with the podcast. And it's like, okay, let's keep it simple.
Yep.
Like let's keep it simple. Like simple work. So
Yep.
I think my advice would be, you know, that ultimately, and I would share that with other people. It's like, okay, what do you love to do? Keep it like, what I'm saying, keep it simple, and then as you grow and kind of improve and get older, then build upon it. But like start with the overthinking and the judging and kind of all of that like in your own head, and just ultimately keep it simple, which I think can be a challenge for people who are like multi-passionate, or because that's a challenge I faced. It's like, so often we get told like to focus on one thing and to do one thing only, but when you are maybe multi-passionate and you want to do multiple things, it's like, okay, doing multiple things is the thing that fulfills me. So I think it's like finding that right balance of becoming a quote unquote expert or whatever it is in that one thing, but also living like that fulfilled life if multiple things is something that fulfills you. But then also with that, especially as you're like for young, younger audience, or however old people are, is like, if you like live to 80 or 90 or like whatever it is, like you've then got time to do all the things you want to do. So then it's about approaching every single day with the mindset, okay, so this is my goal, we're going to move towards it. I think something for me is because I have all like these ideas and like businesses I want to go and do, and kind of and ideas I want to implement, then that sometimes this creates the overwhelming overthinking. Then realizing that actually, like in the macro, I've got time, but in the micro, let's go kind of, let's be focused and kind of let's take action. So, yeah, ultimately, man, I think that's it.
I love it. What would it be like, let's say a year from now, when you stayed focused on like the one thing, the main thing? Like what difference would that make?
Yeah, I think it would make a big difference. I think it would impact like Grow2Gether, the academy that we're building, our e-learning platform, and that. I think that would help a lot of people, because I've kind of been overthinking that. It's like no, you've got the plan, like provide the value, and help other people. So and get really, really, really good at that ultimately. So I think the impact then would be really, really strong, helping other people, growing like the podcast and the network in that. So I think it would make a huge difference.
I love it, man. We're gonna open up this can of worms. You have a genie, and you can have 3 wishes for anything you want, Luke. What would you wish for?
Oh, what would I wish for? I would wish. Oh, this is a really hard question, Chris. I would. So, first wish would be to. I mean, I've connected with some amazing people online, and so one of my goals is to meet with pretty much everyone that I've connected with online. So you included, Chris, in person. So that would be, I suppose, one of my wishes, to have the opportunity to travel the world and to meet in person everyone that I've connected with online and like mastermind with them,
Awesome.
and really get to know them. Because I think there's one thing connecting with people online, and the second thing, connecting with them in person. So
Yep.
I think that would definitely be one. I think so. I think also to kind of raise the consciousness of my closest friends and family around me to this personal growth and kind of self-discovery world, so it unlocks their potential as well. Because like I was saying, I swear some of them think I'm like crazy or something, and so like talking to people from the States, they're like, what are you doing that for? So I think just so like not even for me, it's like for them, so they can live ultimately their best life,
awesome.
and become better. And then my third wish would be from I think my third wish would be to raise then the consciousness and the consciousness of, I suppose, humanity then. So second wish is like the people around me, because obviously I care for them a lot. And then my last wish would be then humanity to the things that we know, Chris, right? To this personal growth and entrepreneurial, but self-discovery world, so they can become the best versions of themselves. That would be my 3 wishes.
I love it. I love it, man. That's so cool. That's so cool. I love your big heart of really inspiring and empowering the people around you to get this stuff, right? Because you know the difference that it makes in your life. You love the people that you get to talk to, and like you said, it's in your DNA, right? Like to be growing, to be being the best version of yourself. Like once you find that, and it's like it's who you are, like it is for you and I. It's like we know that's who we are. It's like F yeah, like let's go. Let's
Yeah.
crush it. Let's ride this wave. Let's keep growing. Let's surround ourselves with epic people. Let's do what it takes. Let's put in the long hours, because we know that what we are building towards, what we're evolving into, it pays dividends for the rest of our life, right? Like the best investment is an investment in yourself. The highest ROI is investing in yourself. And I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but like to be able to invest in yourself as a human being, your personal skills, your mindset, who you see yourself as, who you know yourself as, that's everything, man.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the foundation, really.
Yeah.
And that investing comes in lots of different, shapes and forms. I don't think it's just like money or something. I think it comes in lots of different shapes and forms as well. But yeah, like that investing in yourself is so important and so key.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the biggest roadblocks to someone finding their purpose and living it?
I think again, I think judgment from others, their own limiting beliefs that can come from their environment as they've grown up. Like if they're growing up in a toxic or negative environment, I think obviously some quote unquote break out, if you will, but I think a lot kind of stay stuck in that because it's all that they know. So yeah, I think the judgment from others, environment, and kind of those sorts of things. And then I think clarity on who kind of they are, or kind of the life that they want to create. But I suppose that's in a way also part of like their purpose of creating that. So I think the main two would be like the judgment from others, whether that's their mom or their dad or their best friend or whoever it is, and then their environment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, man. Like we want the people around us, we want that love, and especially the people we have the longest relationships with. Those are typically the relationships we're most afraid to upset and create disharmony or discord. Because if we lose them, like who are we? You know, if we lose
Hmm.
our parents, if they don't want to talk to us anymore, if we lose our best friends, they don't want to talk to us anymore. Like it's almost like we can't even imagine it. You know, and
Yeah.
I had a really challenging like moment with one of my best friends a couple years ago, and just bottom line, there was like a disagreement, disruption, and this person wouldn't talk to me anymore, man. And I was like so mad. I was so mad. I was so frustrated because like, man, can't we get over this? Can't we forgive? Can't we move beyond this? Can't we discuss this, figure it out? And the energy that was there was just like, no, Chris, you're powerless. You know, you can't do anything about this. You can't change this person. You can't fix this person. You can't make them want something different. You can't make them behave differently. You are responsible for you. And that was a really tough lesson for me to learn, is that like sometimes people are gonna make a big deal out of something. They're gonna get upset. Like I saw someone today who was shaming someone on social media, right? Like saying like this person's a fake, da 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 da. And all you see in the comments of this person's post, who is shaming and calling this person out as a fake guru or whatever, is like support of the person who was getting bad mouth,
Mm.
right? It's like, oh my
Wow.
gosh,
Yeah.
this person is like, no, they deliver value, they're a good person, good integrity, and it's just like it's interesting because it was probably just a miscommunication, right? It was probably
Mm.
just something didn't like someone interpreted something the wrong way, and then from there, like this big blow up happens, this big disagreement happens. Like, why does it get that far? Like, why don't we try to work it out? Maybe they did, I don't know, but I just think it's really interesting how communication happens, how relationships that are meant to stick around, and the ones that we like outgrow because we're just stepping into the best version of ourselves. No matter how much we want that person to come with us, we can't force them to, you know. And that's been one of the biggest challenges for me to break through my personal self, man, because I care so much about people, and I also care a lot about what people think, and so to detach from that was freaking challenging, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I faced something definitely similar, and I think for a little while I kind of felt, I don't know, like, I suppose like guilty in a way that kind of I'm kind of out on like this personal growth journey, and that maybe I could have communicated better, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that, like you say, sometimes you just outgrow relationships. But like I said at the beginning, like I've always left that door open if they or
Yep.
those kind of group of people want to embark on this personal growth and self-discovery journey. Like I'm here, you know, I'm like waving the flag, supporting them, and like I help them type of thing, you know. So it definitely has to like come from within them.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you know, I've definitely faced that, and it's been a massive challenge for me, especially you know with people like you've grown up with for throughout school, like
Yeah.
teenage years, early 20s.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's super challenging. Like yourself, like the lesson that you can't control other people,
Yeah.
like just like it's almost like realize like yourself, right? Realizing that like focus on you ultimately, like
Yeah.
your actions and everything. So yeah, definitely can relate there.
Beautiful, man. I know you talked about like focus, and you have a lot of ideas, great ideas, and minimizing distractions and staying focused on your one thing. What would you say is your one thing for this year, and how are you going to make sure that you create an environment of support? You have strategies, routines, disciplines, things like that to be able to execute on it. What can you share about that to inspire our
Mm.
audience with some things that they might be able to do as well?
So for me this year within Grow Together, the main focus is to get into events and workshops. I think because so far Grow Together has mostly been online, and you might have picked up kind of from this. I'm kind of definitely looking to create more uh, or build on like the relationships I've
In
connected
person.
online, offline,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
So that's the main focus for me, and because I don't have a lot of experience there, it's then using my network with people who do have the experience and approaching it that way. So the back end of last year, I done a workshop at a school with somebody that I know, connection. So I'm approaching it that way. So then through the community or through other leaders within this space that I've built relationships with, connecting with them. They're more experienced within workshops than I am.
Yep.
Learn, okay, so this is what works well, this is what doesn't work well, and then ultimately take action then myself on like grow together ones. So that's been my approach, and I think that works well because I'm huge on collaboration as well. So I think then I can go along to kind of theirs, and then we can do joint ones, and then like grow together ones. So that's my approach. Because I think also like for your audience, it's like looking at your skill sets and utilizing the connections that kind of they've built or kind of know people. So if somebody is really passionate about or wants to get into podcasting, then they know that like they can hit you up type of thing because you have a podcast, So I think for like what I would then encourage on that kind of from my main focus being events and workshops this year is, okay, so that's my main focus. I know people who have experience there. I'm going to them. So kind of find the people who have experience or know how in the things that you want to do and learn from them and see if you can collaborate with them.
I love it. Love it, Luke. I always love to know what is our, how do we know if we succeeded at something or failed at something, or it's also known in neurolinguistic programming as an evidence procedure. What is your evidence procedure? So you can ask yourself the question, how would I know if I succeeded with this? I'm curious, how would you know if you succeeded with live events this year and like really stepping into that, crushing it, being successful with that? What does that mean for you? What does that look like for you?
So what that looks like for me is to do a minimum of like one each quarter, and for each one gradually. So let's just say the first one we get, I don't know, it's a workshop and we get 25 people in, right? Then the next one would be to build on that, right? So now you have that base of 25 and to, build on that, right? So 30 or something, right? So it doesn't have to be, then jump to 100, but just that, just kind of that
consistency.
Exactly. That growth, that consistency towards the end of the year. So answering the question, it would be 4, minimum 1 per quarter. That's what I've got in my head. And that gradual consistency and progress through each 4. So yes, that's what that would look like.
Beautiful, man. I love it. It's like important as well. Like self-awareness, I feel is so important. I was asking myself that question, like, how would I know if I succeeded at blank, at whatever the goal is, right? And so there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. It's just whatever your subconscious mind says. That's what's important to you. That's what your measure is. And when you know that, then that's what's important. And so for you, consistency in showing up and growth in every opportunity, every speaking event, those two things, like showing up, doing the dang thing, and also every time getting better, like that's important to know, like, hey, that's how I know I'm on track. That's how I know if I just remember those things, like anytime I might be having a down day and anytime I feel like discouraged, I just remember all the consistency that I've had and all of the growth that I've experienced. For you, for example, like that's what can bring you back to your power, bring you back to feeling successful, feeling fulfilled. And man, I love neurolinguistic programming. It's so freaking awesome. Just the science of high performance and achievement, man. It's rad.
Absolutely. And I think just quickly add one more thing there. I think also like listening to the attendees or to the community within each event as well to make the next one improve and better. I think that's something that's also for me important as well. Like I'm big on reflection and everything, so like reflecting on each one, listening to the feedback, and then growing, moving forward.
I love it, Luke. So we're wrapping it up, man. We want to drive home the final, just like what you want people to get and embody and live from this interview, man. What is that?
So for me that every one of your listeners is in control of their own life. They're in control of their own destiny. They can create their own reality. They can do what they love, live their best life, live a better life than they're living right now. Well, like whatever kind of like slogan or whatever motivates them, like they are in control, right? They can take their life in any direction that they choose. And so work on themselves, work on their mindset, connect with other inspiring, like-minded people, and ultimately grow together.
I love it, man. So let's tell them how they can grow together with you. What are their next steps they can take? Luke, this has been a blast, and I know they want to continue this great energy, continue being their best selves. How do they do that, man?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, the Grow Together website, grow2gether.network.com. So the two guys is the number two. So grow2gether.network.com. Or guys, just connect with me on social. You can find me on every platform under my username at real Luke Burrows. I'm always up for a conversation. Drop me a message, a voice note, whatever. Any way that I can serve and help.
Boom. I love it. I love it. Luke, you're a freaking champion, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your powerful responses, the three wishes, just a blast, man. You're a lot of fun, and I'm just honored to be a part of your journey and to be seeing you grow and step into your ability to serve and impact humanity even more, man. I'm super stoked for your future and what you're creating, and just honored, man. So thank you for being here.
Pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, brother. You have a great rest of your day, okay?
And you. Cheers, man.